Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn, which is Eating Healthy on a Budget. My name is Anneliese, and I am a registered dietitian and program associate with Family and Community Health Sciences. Before we get into the presentation, I wanted to just quickly review what cooperative extension structure is for those of you who might not be familiar with it. Rutgers Cooperative Extension is a partnership between the county boards of chosen commissioners, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. RCE currently has faculty and/or staff in 20 out of the 21 New Jersey counties. We are composed of 3 departments, including Agriculture and Natural Resources, 4-H Youth Development, and Family and Community Health Sciences, or FCHS. FCHS provides outreach in New Jersey and beyond on topics related to nutrition, chronic disease prevention, food safety, and overall wellness. We hope you will visit our website for nutrition and wellness related resources and also follow us on social media. Rutgers Cooperative Extension is an affirmative action equal opportunity employer. Today's discussion, Eating Healthy on a Budget, has 3 objectives. First, we'll look at the search for healthy food and how eating healthy does not have to be expensive. We will talk about how to make healthy food cost-effective by being an informed consumer and how planning can help you be healthy and save money. To start today's discussion, I would like to start by explaining why the conversation we are having is relevant or important. And for this topic area, that means talking about the long-term cost of living with an unhealthy lifestyle. While living in the moment and eating a seemingly inexpensive but unhealthy meal might seem like the best choice, it's important to realize that poor health now can have significant costs down the line. The cost could not only be from your wallet, but also on your quality of life as well. Poor dietary habits can lead to obesity, and according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 out of every 5 children are obese, 42% of adults are obese, and obesity in turn results in chronic disease. The CDC also reports that 1/3 of Americans are actually too heavy to join the military, so they may not be obese, but they are overweight and therefore do not qualify to join the military. U.S. healthcare costs related to obesity are estimated to be $173 billion per year. Lost productivity and poor quality of life are also associated with obesity. So eating high-caloric, seemingly inexpensive food fulfills an immediate need, but over time, these foods could lead to overweight or obesity and could be detrimental to your quality of life and your overall health. It could cost you financially in the future if you have to treat a chronic disease that was created by a poor diet. But to touch once again on the point of healthcare cost, which might be most staggering to think about, we know that a high-calorie, low-nutrient diet can lead to obesity and chronic disease, and the overreaching effects that lifestyle has on healthcare costs Americans $173 billion each year in obesity-related disease. And to help put that $173 billion healthcare cost into terms related specifically to your personal cost, let's take the chronic disease of diabetes and break that down. People with obesity are at an increased risk to develop type 2 diabetes. The cost of diabetes, according to an article published by the American Diabetes Association, are significant to individuals as well. The average medical expenditure for a person living with diabetes is almost $20,000 per year, and over 12,000 of those dollars are attributed directly to diabetes. A person with diabetes has a healthcare cost that is 2.6 times higher than that of a person who does not have diabetes. So in total, the cost of an inexpensive diet is that it's high in calories, fat, or sugar, and this totals up to much more than one might think. I'm sure many of us have seen the impact of inflation on food, and with shrinkflation, we see smaller portions for the same price or even a higher price. We see high quality ingredients replaced with cheaper alternatives, meaning that unhealthy food can get bigger, and we need to be informed consumers when we are navigating the grocery store. With that, let's look at some cost comparisons and talk about ways to find healthy food. People will often say it's cheaper to eat fast food, you get a lot more food, it costs a lot less. And this is why we open this discussion by pointing out the long-term cost of an unhealthy diet. Let's continue that and make a point with a true cost comparison to look at the price difference, right? So this is a cost comparison from 2020 for the price of a fast food meal for a family of 4 versus a home-cooked healthy meal that covers all of the food groups. As you can see, both would feed a family of 4. However, the healthy meal on the right includes all 5 food groups, and it's half the cost of the fast food meal. So the perception is often that it's cheaper to eat unhealthy food, but when you try to feed a family, it's often less costly to cook a healthy meal at home. Remember too that the healthy meal will keep your body healthy, help prevent chronic disease, and the need for out-of-pocket expenses down the line in healthcare costs. So therefore, the healthy meal option is healthy for your body and it's healthy for your wallet. So half the cost for a healthy meal. So how does that pan out today? For a healthy meal at home today, we're still both feeding a family of 4. However, the healthy meal on the right with today's prices is less than half the cost. So the fast food meal costs more than twice as much. So we're not saving money by eating unhealthy food. So here are some easy ways to make sure that you are eating healthy and saving money. First, we want to try to make sure to include all 5 food groups at every meal. Eating balanced meals will help stop you from loading up on high-calorie foods that may be full of sugar, fat, and salt. And when you're going to the grocery store, shop on the outside perimeter, on the outside aisles of the store. The aisles at either end of the store and in the back of the store are full of whole foods and foods that fit within these 5 food groups. So usually produce or your fruits and veggies are going to be in the first outside aisle. This may also include a bread or a grain area. On the back of the store is traditionally where you'll find meat and dairy. And the far wall is usually dairy or dairy and grains and bread. So by making sure that you're shopping the outside aisles, you will ensure that you are putting healthy, well-balanced whole foods in your shopping cart, and this will prevent you from stocking up on all of the high-cost, high-calorie processed foods that we find mostly in the center of the grocery store. And whole foods are foods like an apple or a celery, chicken breast. These foods have no additives or extra items in them. Whole foods will help you avoid processed foods, which are, again, high in calories. Whole foods provide our bodies with nutrients that we need to be healthy. And in the next section about making healthy food cost-effective, I am going to talk about comparing price labels, but you should also check labels for ingredients. The ingredients list might give you an idea of exactly what you are paying for. For example, if you picked up a jar of tomato sauce and the front of the packaging said, oh, this product is organic, but then you flip it over and read the ingredients and you'll find the tomatoes might be organic, but there might be a whole nother list of other products in that. So checking out a similar store brand, you might find that the store brand has fewer ingredients, less additives, and it might cost less as well and have fewer processed ingredients that make it better for you and better for your family. So looking at the ingredients will let you know what you are paying for, and sometimes that's going to vary amongst brand labels. So it's good to be informed, look at a couple different products, and do a quick comparison when you're shopping. Being an informed consumer will assist you with finding cost-effective foods, and in this section, we'll talk about some ways to do that. First, eat seasonally. Eating seasonally is budget-friendly because it syncs with the cycles of supply and demand. When fruits and vegetables are in season, they are more abundant, and this reduces the price. So in-season, locally grown foods do not accrue the shipping and transportation costs of foods that come from far away or out of season. So you're not getting billed, so to speak, for as much fuel and refrigeration time. Seasonal food is also fresher and it can have more nutrients. Nutrients in food break down over the course of shipping and storage. Another option is to buy in bulk and preserve food for later. I like to buy blueberries when they are in season and very affordable and freeze them, rather than buying fresh blueberries in the winter when the cost is much higher. Eating seasonally is also a great way to support our local community. Knowing what you are reading in the store is likewise just as important as knowing what you are putting in your body. As you can see from these cans of tuna, they are different sizes and they have different prices. The first thing you want to think about is, if I buy the big can of tuna, will my family eat all of it? Or are the smaller cans a better option for my living situation? Don't buy things that you and your family don't need. There's usually very little price saving if you are throwing things away. Secondly, look at the colors on the shelf tag. Here we see the yellow area of the tag is the cost that you're going to pay at the register. And right away you can see the smaller can is less money, but that's generally to be expected. In some instances, but not in this one, the price cost of the can shown in white on the left might be less for the bigger item. So if you buy more of it, the price will then go down. Now in this item, that's not the case because the smaller can is still less in unit cost. However, if the larger product is something that you can use and it is less than the smaller product, it might be worth it to purchase the larger one if you can eat all of it. Also, these 2 unit pricing amounts are in pounds. Sometimes that's not always the case. The tag might compare 2 different measurements. So when you're looking at the unit price, you need to make sure that the comparison is the same. If the cost per unit price on this were the opposite and the larger cans had a price of $3.58 and the smaller one was $4.12, then even though the actual cost was much more, the better deal would be the larger can because it is less money for the unit cost. But you can see again, that's not the case here. Bigger isn't always the better buy. So compare the shelf tags and find which is the best value. And if you would like to figure out how much the cost per serving is on a product, it's not that difficult. You just take the price and divide that by the number of servings that are in the container and see which is less. So you can find the servings per container at the top of the nutrition label circled here. And to follow up on the previous slide, here's a breakdown of how you might compare green beans that are frozen, canned, or fresh. As you can see, under the equation area of the graph, the price is being divided by the number of servings, which then gives us the price per ounce. So the costs are comparable. So the price per ounce here is lowest for the canned green beans. And knowing how to calculate this might help you choose differently. You might think that spending a few cents on one thing is worth it, but not on another product. So the frozen green beans are very comparable. And so if you're shopping and in-season produce isn't available, then your frozen green or canned green beans are going to be much more cost effective than buying the fresh that again has spent a long time in shipping and being transported to us and losing nutrients all along that pathway. And just as an FYI, for a calculation on potato chips, they run about 25 cents per serving compared to 13 cents for even the most expensive version of green beans here. So the green beans are almost half the price. Once again, proving that eating healthy is not always more expensive. So let's look at some more ways that we can look at prices and be savvy shoppers for healthy food. So we can take a minute to point out that it's good to compare the store brand and to brand name products. Sometimes these products might be close in price, but sometimes one is less than the other. So remember to compare the amount and the unit pricing to check if one is more than the other. Sometimes the brand name may be less, especially if it's on sale, and sometimes the name brand on sale could cost more than the store brand that is not on sale. So making sure to just do a quick price comparison before you grab a product. And like we saw with the earlier example, bigger doesn't always mean cheaper either. If you go to the store to purchase peanut butter, we see single jars and we see double packs. And you might think the double pack is going to be cheaper and pick that one up first. But if we look at the price of the double pack of peanut butter, we see that it's not cheaper. And the jars are the same size. So we're comparing apples to apples here. The single jar, that's $3.99 versus the double pack being $13.49, you could actually purchase 3 jars of the single pack and still not spend as much as the the store is asking for a double pack. So it really pays to check out how items compare with each other before just grabbing what you think is going to be the better deal. And convenience is great, but that comes at a price as well. So let's take a comparison here of a package of store-bought pre-cut zoodles or zucchini noodles. These fun, healthy zucchini spirals are really convenient because they're already cut and ready to go in the pan. However, the summer squash and zucchini on the right side of the screen can make the same great dish and cost much less. The pre-cut zoodles cost $5.99 for a 10-ounce package, whereas one 9-ounce zucchini is $1.49 per pound, and the average cost for one of them is 84 cents. So that's a difference of a whole ounce between the two items, but it's also a savings of more than $5. So you can use a zucchini cutter. You can make your own zoodles with the 84-cent zucchini, or you could just change your recipe up a little bit so it's similar. Maybe just slice them up thin or julienne your zucchini and use the less expensive whole food version. So looking at pre-packed items and determine if the convenience is worth it to you or if you could replace that convenience item with a less expensive option. And next, looking at your circulars and your coupons, that can help you save grocery dollars as well. So looking at the ad when you are making your grocery list can help you build your shopping list. So you can check out what fish might be on sale so that you can choose one rather than one that's on sale versus a full price one. And when we're looking through the circulars, we want to avoid sale items that are for processed foods because, as we have discussed, they have a toll on our wallet later in life, and they also take shopping dollars away from nutrient-dense products. So look and see what produce is on sale. Often it is what's in season, again, so that will mean it's less costly and it's fresher and probably more local. And coupons can be helpful. But before you're using a coupon, ask yourself if you are buying the item just because there's a coupon for it, right? Like, oh, I bought it because it was on sale. Or are you buying that item because you will use it and you need it and everyone in your family likes it? And then we want to be careful about the product itself. Is it a processed food? Often we'll see coupons for heavily processed items, which aren't healthy for us. And if you determine that you do use and need what is on sale, then when you do get to the store, we still can compare it to another product and see if the coupon really will make it the most cost-effective item. Sometimes, like we talked about, the store brand is less without a coupon than a name brand item that's on sale with a coupon. So we want to use those comparison skills that you learned earlier in this lesson to help you make the best decision. And coupons often coincide with the circulars. So compare what's on sale in the circular with what coupons you have and see if you can get a double bang of savings. To touch on being wary of buying what you don't need, if anyone remembers that show Extreme Couponing, when that came out, people were getting like great deals in excess by couponing, but if it's processed, it's not good for us. So think about if it's worth buying like a lot of a processed item. If you're going to buy it, even if it's super cheap, remember the long-term effects it may have on your overall health. And try to buy only what you will eat and what you will use. Often coupons can help save on household products too. So check and see if the household product is less with the coupon or if the store brand is less. And so to wrap up what we went over today, you can save money by planning your meals ahead of time. So just taking a few moments, investing some time to do that. Everyone's time is valuable, and planning what you are going to purchase can save your wallet and save your body. And plan the time that you do go shopping also. Don't go to the store when you're hungry, and try to make a list and only go once a week so that you're saving money, so that you're getting everything that you need, and then you don't have to make another trip and then maybe pick up some things that you don't need on that extra trip. We can look at the cost of convenience and see if there is a more cost-effective way to purchase that item. Next, we can educate ourselves about products before we go to the store by going through those circulars and those coupons, but that's not the end of our comparison options. We want to also compare when we get to the store while we're shopping. And we can find a useful resource and use that to assist you in planning and comparing. Remember, it's only a good deal if you need it. We don't want to buy things just because they're there. Shopping and eating healthy does not have to cost a lot. And so here is our contact information. Thank you for spending your lunch with us, and I would be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, our next Lunch and Learn is scheduled for May 8th at 12:30, and it is about mindfulness for stress. And we hope that you check out our website, check out our calendar, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. And thank you everyone for joining.